Those iconic rubber keys, and the colour clash graphics. The ZX Spectrum holds a special place in the hearts of many. After what felt like an age, it's finally back in stock, and I finally got my hands on one. Let's see if the Spectrum can capture the spirit of the original, and hopefully improve on the 400 mini experience. Retro games, you have a legacy to uphold. The Spectrum has some nice packaging, with the classic computer taking the main stage on the front. The back has some box art and screenshots of a few games, as well as the full list of games. There's 48 with a few unlockable games, bringing it up to 57 total, which we will cover later. Inside the box we first have the Spectrum computer, which we will check out in more detail shortly. Next is a quick start guide in multiple languages which gets you up and running. There is a more in-depth manual available on the website. Inside the box is a HDMI cable to plug into your TV or monitor. And there's a USB-C cable used to power the Spectrum. You can use any old 5W charger to power it. The Spectrum measures around 9.17 by 5.6 by 1.18 inches and weighs around 505 grams. It is identical in size to the original ZX Spectrum. Visually, the only difference is the Sinclair ZX Spectrum text replaced with Retro the Spectrum. The back is a bit more different, with a home button, 4 USB ports, HDMI port, power port and button. The font and colour is authentic to the original design, which is nice. The bottom is similar, but has air vents in different locations due to the hardware layout inside. It's not a big deal as you will rarely look at the bottom. The keys are visually faithfully reproduced when compared to the original. The layout is the same as the original, with the same colours and fonts. They are a little softer when pressed. They feel a bit more responsive, which I personally do not mind. Let's get the Spectrum connected up and powered on. On first boot, you get a few screens to set up the computer. First is the language selection, including English, German, Spanish and Portuguese. The following screen will give you a choice between 50 and 60 Hz display. Although it may be tempting to pick 60 Hz, choose 50 if your TV supports it, as many games were programmed for PAL TVs. And now we are into the game carousel. Pressing left and right will navigate between the games, which you can sort by title, author, etc. As you browse the games, some game information is displayed and a screenshot to the side of it. Pressing the favourite key or button will assign up to 4 stars for each game. Pressing the Q key or button will bring up the in-game controls for either keyboard or controller if you have one connected. Pressing the Options key or button will bring up the Options menu. From here you can change the display options, which will give you a choice of sharp pixels or a CRT effect. You can also change the border size and enable extended colours, which we will come on to later. You can also change the frame design from a selection. I wouldn't mind seeing a function to import your own designs, as this would be a great feature. The Advanced Options menu has options to change the menu music level, switch between boot modes, which will display the carousel or classic basic mode when first switching on. System information will inform you of which version of the firmware you are running. There have been a few updates since release, and all you need to do is put the firmware on a USB stick, go to this menu and you will be prompted to update. It only takes a minute or two and shouldn't be any issue. As mentioned, there are 48 games as standard. There are many instantly familiar games if you are a seasoned veteran, including Army Moves, Alvida's A Monte, Exelon, Football Manager 2, Head Over Heels, Manic Miner, School Days, Spellbound, Technician Ted, The Lords of Midnight, The Way of the Exploding Fist and Trashman. There's also a few I did not recognise, such as DevWorld 2, Not in the 3D and Stonkers. Overall, I would say this is a great collection of starting games with a good variety of genres. Many of these I played growing up and brought back many memories, and it was fun trying a few I had not heard of before. There are an additional 9 games which can be unlocked in different ways. Army Moves 2, Freddy Hardest 2 and Fantasy 2 require the original game to be completed. Doomdark's Revenge, Gilligan's Gold, Hungry Oris and Hoist the Spider require the original games to be played for 30 or 60 minutes. You can just leave the game running if you wanted to. Cybernoid and Pyromania require some in-game interaction, such as entering the Manic Miner cheat code 6031769 whilst playing the game. There's a nice bit of variety in how the games are unlocked, and you can't complain about a few extra games either. The Spectrum does not come with a controller as standard, but do consider the original did not either. You had to buy a joystick interface which plugged into the expansion port, and then you could connect a compatible joystick. The Spectrum thankfully does away with this and allows USB joysticks to be connected. If you have the A500, 400 mini or C64 mini computers from retro games, you can connect those joysticks and use them straight away. The A500 CD32 style gamepad is the best out of the three in my opinion. The C64 and 400 controllers are in comparison pretty bad. You can of course also connect your own controller, such as an Xbox gamepad, but you will need to add support for these. Check the homepage for details. All of the games that support controllers work great. There's a few such as The Hobbit, which is a text adventure, so there's no controller required. You also have access to the home button on the controller. This saves reaching around the back of the Spectrum to press the home button. As a note, you can also plug in a compatible USB keyboard if you are not a fan of the Spectrum's keys. You are all probably familiar with save states. They allow you to save your game at any time, shut down the Spectrum and resume exactly where you left off at a later date. By pressing the home button, it will return to the carousel. You have access to 4 save slots per game. Choose a save slot to save to, and then you can load it back at any time. Game rewinding is something that is featured in a few emulators such as RetroArch. It keeps up to 30 seconds of the game in memory, and with a press of the button combination, you can rewind the game as if nothing happened. Both of these features are great. I can remember back in the day leaving my Amstrad on all day while I was at school, because there was no way to save a game. One of the great features of these retro remake computers is the ability to load your own software from a USB stick. A variety of Spectrum file formats are supported, including cassette tapes, cartridges and snapshots. Simply add them to a USB stick and a USB entry will appear on the carousel. You can then browse the files and load them from there. Each file can be configured in the game settings menu. You can choose between the original 48K, 128K or universal Spectrum computers. If you don't want to sit through 15 minutes of tape loading, you can set the tape loading speed which will load the game almost instantly. The extended colours option is a great feature, and this allows you to run games which have been optimised for the ULAPlus palette support. I will show this in more detail in a moment. There are options for joystick types and mapping the controls. For tape-based games you can even control multi-load games, such as loading a new level, 10 out of 10 for custom software support. I have to admit I'm not a hardcore Spectrum fan, and I did not know about ULAPlus until learning about it with the Spectrum. It expands the Spectrum's colour palette from 16 up to 64, which can make an impressive difference. It is supported with palette files which are loaded before running the game, or with what I believe are pre-patched games. The results can be quite subtle in games, but once you compare before and after, there is a noticeable difference. And there are some impressive demos available which really show off ULAPlus. Who would have thought it would be possible 40 odd years ago, eh? And last but not least is the classic mode. This is essentially the basic screen you would see when switching on the original ZX Spectrum. Now, I know next to nothing about coding Spectrum Basic. The keyboard always confused me. Stick me in front of an Amstrad CPC and I know my stuff. You can type program listings for magazines, save and load them just how you did on the original. They will save to your USB stick and can be retrieved through the file browser. Whilst it's not for everyone, it's a great feature and does feel authentic, especially with the rubber keys. So, what's the verdict on the Spectrum Remake? Totally nails it. It is the same size as the original, has those rubber keys we all remember, and you can nearly do everything on it that you could on the original. There's no controller in the box like the other consoles and computers, but honestly, the iconic keyboard is way better and feels just right. You can always connect your own controller. Plus, with over 50 games, many of them absolute classics, you won't be bored. Save states and rewinding aren't new to the Spectrum, but they're really handy. And loading your own stuff from a USB stick is easy, meaning the vast majority, and it is vast, of the Spectrum library are at your fingertips. Comparing it to retro games is the 400 mini released last year, which cost around the same. It's a no-brainer. I couldn't really recommend buying the 400 mini, with its weak game selection and clunky joystick, but the Spectrum, I think it's great value. If you love the original or you're just curious to see what the fuss was about, I'd definitely say go for it. Oh, and please retro games, make an Amstrad CPC remake next. I bought the Spectrum with my own money, and this review is not sponsored in any way. If you would like to help me buy these devices for review, please use the affiliate link in the description to buy the Spectrum. It's much appreciated. That wraps up my review of the Spectrum. I hope you have found it useful. Please like and subscribe to help continue growing this channel. Thanks, and I will see you back in the next one.